And I think that's the humbling point of the Trinity. And I'm going to say Trinity because I know that as a poking term here, because as you mentioned, Godhead doesn't exist in the original scriptures. That's correct. Neither is atonement. Yet we accept atonement perfectly fine, right? The mercy seat, that doesn't exist in the Bible either. It's just cover. But we say mercy seat because we understand it gives us mercy. And so the Holy Spirit, though it doesn't accept, say, the same worship, obedience is the ultimate form of worship. And so if we blaspheme the Holy Spirit, if we reject the voice that is written in our heart, then we are not worshiping the Holy Spirit. In fact, that's the first form of worship that can then bring us, as was mentioned, to Christ. Mm-hmm. So the Spirit of truth enlightens us to see who Jesus is, and Jesus then lets us see beyond the veil. And I think that's what's being missed here, is that the law requires that 2 or 3 witnesses for every matter. Well, that's no different than our salvation. And God has given us 2 divine witnesses to the Father, who is greater than his creation. He says that we are just the footstool, that the universe that he's created can't contain him. So how is a personal God interacting with literal people? Is the Holy Spirit a person? No, of course not. He's not a person. We're people. And that's what sets Christianity apart from the rest of all religions, is our God is a personal God. And he interacts with us obviously by Christ, who became a literal person, but the attributes of the Holy Spirit are clearly personal. Moves us, interacts with us. We can grieve him. And most importantly, we're not allowed to blaspheme him. We can blaspheme the Father. People say the Lord's name in vain. We can blaspheme the Son, but we're not allowed to blaspheme the Holy Spirit. And to me, that is the ultimate form of worship. What is strange here when I hear these arguments, when we have the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit proceeds from them, that's literally the Catholic filioque.
I'm going there.
Okay. So I just want to point that there, yep. that we're arguing about the third person of the Trinity, while literally describing what the Catholics are proposing. So it's kind of a weird thing to say. But I think it's super important based on what you're mentioning. Jesus is never described as the body. He's the head. See, so we talk about Christ and the Father on the throne. Well, how are we who don't have the character of Christ going to be connected to the head? And I think that's what's being missed here. Only God can make us holy and pleasing to God. And that's what the Holy Spirit is, God dwelling among us, while the head is Christ above us. So that's why it's not the same form of him sitting on the throne, because his job is to be sitting with us so we can be with him in his glory. Yeah, the Catholic Church loves to capture things, kind of a Roman thing to do. They say the same thing about the Bible, by the way. They will tell you that they wrote the Bible. So, I mean, there's not so much weight. They're gonna, but that's how you know. That's how you know it's important, though. If they keep focusing on something, there's something to that something that they're focusing on. So it's not a rejection of the Trinity. It's saying that the Trinity is important. And they're trying to take ownership of it and crafted it into something that they can use, right? And so when I look at this issue, I used to defend anti-Trinitarians. Like years ago, I used to be like, yeah, exactly what you're saying. And it's not explicit in the Bible. There's 2 powers. You always see the 2 powers alternating. I used to do that all the time, but you were getting awfully close to what I've heard a lot. And that is demonizing the work of the Holy Spirit. I've heard people in this position say, it's the devil that's making you call the third person, the third member a person. And that's blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. It doesn't matter if you call the Holy Spirit a potato. It doesn't matter if you call Jesus, Yeshua, Joshua. Those are works of the mouth. The moment we start saying that that's evil and it's the Holy Spirit, That's the danger. Not demonizing, a group of people trying to take a hold of something and use it. That's one thing. But saying that the Holy Spirit being called a person is the work of the devil, that's where my concern is. I think we have a tendency to turn the Bible into fortune cookies, meaning like it's not a single verse. There's no such thing as a verse in the Bible. The original scriptures had no chapters either. And so pigeon-toeing ourselves into a chapter, I think kind of gets us in this position. If we just go to John chapter 16, it literally talks about the work of the Holy Spirit. So before he goes into this prayer about him and the Father and the Son, he leads in with the Spirit, which is exactly how we're saved. We cannot blaspheme the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit gives us truth that then reveals the Son, and the Son reveals the Father. And he does this exactly in John 16. Talks about the work of the Holy Spirit. Then he talks about the Father and the Son.